and rely. I think I fixed the reliability problem we had. Only time will tell, but I think I got that wrapped up.
That's
We'll,
an experiment I don't want to be a participant in.
Yep.
you know, you don't get a choice, really. Like,
You're
I
like
don't
one of
know
those
how to
Pakistani mind diffusers. I think I know. It will be okay.
I've been doing this for 3 weeks since my trainer tragically killed.
So
We
we've
were
got.
talking about last week. I was talking about getting a brand new TV, and I was like, I don't know if I want to pay for the 4K because I don't know if my eyes can see in 4K.
Okay.
Like I don't know if I'll be able to differentiate between like a high quality YouTube video from 2012 and like a really nice 4K TV. And so when I got to Best Buy, Chiz gave me shit for going to buy TVs from a store, like an old person, he said. But it's like, Chiz, if you lived in the area I do, you're not going to order a TV to just sit on your stoop because it's not if it gets stolen. It's how many minutes it'll sit there until it does. Like there's a 0% chance it will not be stolen if they leave a TV on my stoop.
Every
Like
so often, Chiz insults me, and I'm like, I didn't even know that I was being stupid. You know, like, oh, you're buying a TV, you're shopping at a store like an old person. Like, I hadn't even known.
Chiz would like be ordering his 6th Grubhub of the night, but he'd really just be feeding all of the muggers who live around me, who are like, "You got Buffalo Wild Wings? Yeah, you don't know Mo." And they take it.
I can just imagine Rufus over there balling out with that 65-inch 4K. Y'all want to watch Daredevil? Yeah, it's in 4K. Y'all come on. Nah, I hooked up to Taylor's Wi-Fi. It's good. That's why you keep lagging during this show.
You don't know I got the password, but I do. You know? Anyway, I went to Best Buy like an old man apparently, and I was looking at the TVs, and it was only like $300, $200 and some odd dollars more to get the 65-inch 4K versus the non-4K. And so I was like, whatever, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. I'll just buy the nice 65-inch Samsung 4K one. And so I got that, and I got home, and immediately I put on Planet Earth 2 just to see what it was like. And it's honestly mind-blowingly better. Like, because I rip on things without knowledge often, you know, it's like I was watching it like almost against myself. Like, it's not that much better. And I'm like, well, you're the idiot who just paid $1,100, $1,200 for it, so it better be better. And I'm like, yeah, damn it, it is. It really is better. Like, this is not some goofy scam thing. It is. You can see every little micro scale on the feet of the birds of prey as they latch on. You can see the little tufts of hair on the hares, the rabbit, kind of exploding out from the impact and the grab. Like,
let me tell you why.
The detail is astounding. Even the snow, the granular look of the snow is different. It's not a sheet of white like a painting or something. Like, you can see every little like droplet.
Is this the part where you tell us about bitrate?
Yes.
The what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyle knows, but I have to say it anyway. It partly, if you had a 1080p Blu-ray, right, which is like 40 megabits per second or something like that, it might look even better than the 4K you're getting at like 20 megabit per second. A lot of it is the bit rate. Netflix is delivering a much better 4K, whereas at 1080p, they're kind of cheesy about it.
See, that I watched it on Netflix, so that's a pretty good way to do 4K is via Netflix.
Well, I don't even know of any, like, I don't know the other 4K ways. Is there a 4K disc yet? Like, is that a thing that exists?
I have no
for
idea.
quite a while. Yeah, that's the way. If you want the best looking experience that you can possibly get in 4K anyway, let's not get into some sort of 8K display that you're going to have to mortgage your home for. You could get the the Ultra Blu-ray player. I think that some of the consoles do it. But you can get one now. It's just like the old DVD players. They started at $1,000 or $2,000 or something nuts, and now I think you can get one for 150, or maybe the great one for 350.
And next year they'll be $19.95 at Walmart.
Yeah, and
Is
some
that
will
worth it,
be
though?
trampled for it. Yes, it's worth it. Yes.
No, I just mean like not as 4K worth it. I'm sold on 4K.
Yeah.
I'm saying
The disc.
the Super 4K Blu-ray. Like, I don't feel like physical copies of movies are ever going to come back. I don't think that's ever going to be a thing again.
The reason it might with 4K because our the internet speeds in the US are so shit on average. And it's what Woody just described. It's the bit rate. Like, you're not getting the pinnacle of 4K experience if it's being beamed to you. Your TV is better than you know. And if you had the disc, you're getting it all, right? It's reading it right off that disc. It's putting it right there on your screen. It's not being beamed from some server in St. Louis or something like that.
I mean, I believe you that it'll be better. I just see it as like diminishing returns. Maybe like this is already so much better.
Yeah, another
than
150
anything I've
bucks.
used.
And for a
Yeah.
penny and for a pound.
But an extra $150, and then I have to spend $50 on every DVD or
You just
every
steal them from Redbox.
steal them from Red. I'm not a degenerate.
Get Rufus to do it. That's what he's for.
Oh man, Rufus is. I'm not going to conscript that man into any kind of services for me, Kyle. He's a homeless gentleman who's addicted to drugs, undoubtedly,
He's
and he
he's
hasn't
down
been
there
around
right
recently
now in the
because it's cold.
You
He's
know
probably
what?
hanging
Cold
out
is-
under the bridge with Duncan in the gang.
You act like Rufus wouldn't appreciate 4K, as if he's some lesser kind of person. His eyes are probably better than yours.
Yep.
That's fair. He's got to
Guaranteed.
keep one eye on both sides of the street because he doesn't know when danger's coming.
He's almost certainly a veteran. He had to pass some eye exam that you could never pass in your best day. So he's
true. I
down there in
couldn't-
the cold right now saying, I wish that white boy would pay me to steal some 4K DVDs or whatever they're called.
Or whatever they're called. You know? Good guess, Rufus. Yeah.
Because
Well,
they're
I
like
could-
ultra
I could be accosting
HD
her
or
for
something.
Taylor.
Like, I underestimated so much how giant a 65-inch TV would be, like 7 feet from me. How
Yeah, man.
far like my viewing distance is. It's perfect. It's wonderful. Even watching the football game on Friday or Saturday night, whatever it was, I even enjoyed that. I like never watched the NFL unless I had friends over and they wanted to watch the game, of course. But like even watching that, I'm like, God, like that turf looks good. Like you could see that guy's nose shift when he gets hit in the slow motion replay. You know, like when he's watched like in MythBusters, that guy get clocked in the side of the
Yeah.
head and his face kind of stays
I
static for a
wonder
second.
how many hertz your TV is. If it's a 120 or a 240 hertz TV, that's the frame rate, by the way. That's how many frames per second you're getting. They make those things in 240 hertz now, which is pretty nuts.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
Because
I-
it was like just the nicest 65-inch Samsung I could find.
Yeah, cool. Got that Korean TV.
And I got the flat one because I thought about what you said, because the curved one was actually cheaper than the flat one,
Should
which I
be,
thought
it's
was
junk.
weird. And then like I looked at it from the side and I'm like, ugh, no wonder. And then just like, of course, I'm not gonna like sit with my company in a line.
See, I guess it depends who you are, right? Like if you're what I imagine a 4chaner to be, the curved one is perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no one coming over. You're not doing
It's
anything.
just for you.
By myself.
Right? It's a curved TV, and you sit in the spot. The magic, it's great. But if you're gonna share your TV, I suppose brown.
Oh, yeah.
Or flats.
And
where it's at. I have a.
Company over multiple times a week, most weeks, so that would not be a good purchase.
Is that true? That's a lot of company.
Yeah, I have people over pretty much every weekend.
He likes to entertain.
I do. I like entertaining. I like being a good host. Like you can't see from here, but it's always the compliment I get the most from when girls come over, in like a group of friends and everything, is your place smells amazing and it is so clean in here. Why can't guys clean like this? And it's always like, you can hear you're my friend Ted. You can hear your girlfriend complimenting me on this right now. Do you not see that this is an underhanded dig at you being dirty and smelly in your own house? I digress. It doesn't matter. Everything women say is a clue. You have to piece those together.
You're
But I
throwing a lot
love
of
that.
stones, but it sounds like Ted has a girlfriend.
He does. Yeah, and,
Just saying.
Or 10.
and she's a friend of mine. She's a great gal. But I like preparing like little plates and shit every so often, like the meat and cheese stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not that as much. I like playing like board games and shit. I don't know. I have a lot of fun entertaining and being a good host. It makes you feel good. You guys
I
don't
like
feel
it.
like that?
No,
Like
we
you don't
do.
like.
We entertain, but Jackie does all the work. I have a different topic.
Yeah, sure.
Help me with his name. Al Azir Azani, comedian from Parks and Rec.
Aziz
Holy
Ansari.
shit.
Aziz Azari.
Nope.
Someone very similar to him.
There's two Z's in his name, first and last combined.
Aziz. How am I doing so far?
Yep, you got both Z's.
And Zari?
Close,
It's not
very
two people. Look, it's Aziz and Zari. They're here.
Aziz,
I didn't put
the
it's
classic
just
comedy
An-
troupe. Aziz
I wasn't sure if
Ansari
it
is
was
back on
Azari or
Fox.
Anzari. I don't know. but Aziz. And we're on a first name basis. So Aziz has been accused of like sexual assault and sort of a Me Too thing. Oh my gosh. Like, so if you guys are not up to speed on this, Apparently, he went on a date with a woman, and they had drinks or something like that. They went back to his place. They started kissing. They got naked. They had sex. And now she's doing, and then I guess she was like, well, I don't like this or something. He's like, oh, well, do you want to just like put clothes on and watch TV? And then they did that. And then she left. And then he hit her up, like text or something. Like, hey, you want to hang out tonight? And she's like ripping him, like, oh my God, no. Did you not pick up on my nonverbal clues that I didn't want to do that, like he's some sort of sexual assaulter.
I think that I don't think they had sex. He did give her or she gave him a blowjob, right?
I could be all right.
And
Maybe
then-
you're right. Maybe you're right on that. So, but here's the thing: she got naked. This is a public service announcement to all women out there. If you go out on a date with a guy and then go back to his place and then take all your clothes off, he will try to have sex with you. You cannot claim that he failed to read your nonverbal clues because you gave even louder nonverbal clues when you went back to his place and took your clothes off.
Yeah.
Those are the rules.
I think she's really getting thrown under the bus by like everybody. I saw that blonde news lady like ripped her for like 4 minutes today. She said, kind of shamed her, although they're not saying her name, which is interesting. Just mentioned that she's a photographer.
You're right. I saw him use one ripped her with a fake name, and another just they could mostly call her his accuser.
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, it's totally it's just what us and pretty much everybody else said as soon as this Me Too movement started, is that eventually, people will see it as a way to get attention, in a way to boost their career. Mm-hmm. And someone like Aziz Ansari is hugely popular right now. And so instead of going, oh yeah, I had a sexual experience that I didn't like with Aziz, and I didn't think he was very good in bed, or I thought he kind of pressured me a little too much or whatever, like, you could have left at any time. You could have stood up and just fucking left. You could have, and when you pretend that this is more than just one person not leaving when they could have and trying to put the onus of responsibility on Aziz to read her mind, it's like women, like, talk to any rational woman and they'll be like, yeah, we don't need to be treated like that. We're human beings with agency. Like, I don't know, when you make this into a real story, you're taking agency away from women and making it be like, oh yeah, when you're on a date, you just can't do anything. Like, the man's going to do what he wants to do, and you have no power to stand up and say no and just leave. Like,
agency is
it's
the
ridiculous.
term I've been hearing tossed around a lot, and I like it because when you remove her agency, right, like during the date, when suddenly she is not able to make her own decisions and decide what she should be doing next, that's when the Me Too thing gets real. But at no point in that night did that happen to her. She could have left any time. When she said she wanted to stop or stop moving forward, he was like, want to watch TV? I can just picture him saying it in his voice. And,
those little raccoon eyes.
He's like the least threatening male on the planet.
And she said yes.
He's like 5'5".
And then they watched TV.
My understanding of the story was like, she gave him head.
Okay.
And then he was trying to move it forward to sex, which to any of the ladies listening out there, that's going to happen 100% of the time. You're with a guy and you went on a date and you're naked and you blew him. It's going to happen. You can't, you set up all those dominoes and he knocked him down and now he's waiting for that next domino to get hit rationally. It's not like it's some weird disconnect of like, why would you think we'd have sex just because I was put your dick in my mouth? Like, of course. But like, no, you have to pretend like she's just this doe-eyed, like, oh, well, I guess we can do that. I'm not familiar. I'm naked in someone's apartment late at night, and I put your penis in my mouth, but now I feel like you're being a little aggressive, and I said no. And when I said no, you pushed me again, and then I said no again, and you said, okay. And hashtag me too. It's like unbelievable. Like, do you know, like, any real victims of sexual assault, and this is so trite because it's been said so many times, but clearly these assholes don't actually care, like, levying the accusations. Real victims are out there looking at shit like this and going, I'm not going to come forward. Why would I? Nobody's going to believe me because the last 10 of these I've seen have been more trumped up than realistic. Like, I don't want them to think I'm just, a bitter shrew trying to ruin some Indian comedian's life. Like, I am glad that, like, everybody is on the same page with this one for the most part.
Well, he's not white, so it's easy.
I don't know if that comes into it, but
I think it does.
It may actually, because you give a lot more rope, or at least the media gives a lot more rope to non-white males, of course. Whereas even James Franco, people are coming out like he said it was nonsense, people were accusing him of, but I guess people were way quicker to demonize him.
Oh, he took Hyde's show away. Did you notice that? Hyde from '70s Show.
Oh yeah. Well, he was accused of actual rape.
Rape. Yeah.
Multiple rapes, and he's a Scientologist too.
Oh well, fuck him. Then.
Wait, doesn't that help him?
Yes,
Shouldn't there be
but
powerful Scientologists working on his behalf to get?
I think that's why it took so long for something to happen, because we heard the allegations for months, and it was well, nobody seems to care about whatever his fucking name is, Danny Masturbatorson. Nobody seemed to really care, and then all of a sudden it was oh yeah, they've taken him off the show, and his agents dropped him, and it seems like he's in a bit of trouble.
So did you hear the thing? So everyone knows Trump called a couple nations shitholes or something like that. And I don't want to get too deep into is he racist or not?
No, that's not racist at all.
Well, that's not racist. And I feel like a lot of things he says in isolation aren't racist, but when you look at the pattern, it gets hard not to think that he has some racism issues. Whether it be the good people on both sides, the birther, the shithole countries, this, that, and the other. You're oh man, there's so much circumstantial evidence around him being racist that
the birther
at some
thing
point it's a strong case.
Was stupid, definitely. It was initially propagated by the Clinton campaign, to be fair, and
I think that's
Donald.
been debunked.
It hasn't. It has not.
I mean, you can say it hasn't, but I've seen it debunked.
You can say it has, but it hasn't.
Fair enough.
Isn't that fun? That's how most talking head argument goes on CNN. Where it's oh, but I see you are mistaken. Where's your source? Source, sir? Source? Well, I'm here on a TV show for the next 30 seconds. All right, thanks. Come again.
Right.
And nothing gets solved, and everybody just gets angrier. But the shithole countries thing, there are shithole countries out there, and it's hilarious watching people. Just because so many people make their barometer of what they believe based on what Trump says, they'll say, "Oh, that's racist. There aren't shithole countries." It's none of you people threatened to move to Somalia, threatened to move to Mexico, threatened to move to Uganda. You all threatened to move to white countries. I saw that exact
argument on Fox News recently.
It's a good point out. It's a good indicator of their own hypocrisy, because it would never cross it never crossed Lena Dunham's mind to move to Egypt or Africa or anywhere but a nice, safe, majority white. Yeah,
I saw Tucker Carlson saying that, and you're right. No one wants to go to Somalia, and there are countries that
shithole
suck.
Sorry, to finish the point. The shithole country thing. We all know there are shithole countries. We all know it. And his point that there are shithole countries, I don't think is an indictment on the people who live there. But I do think that we shouldn't be deciding who we let in based on what country they're from. It should all be merit based. It should all be who's going to contribute to the fucking economy. I'd rather have a Nigerian who's an electrical engineer or a chemical engineer or something than some burnout pothead from Norway. I don't see why anyone wouldn't want that.
On the Trump being racist thing, all of these things in isolation aren't bulletproof proof that he's racist. That hey, these guys are from shithole countries. I get that. That's not by itself proof that he's racist. They're good people on both sides. Most people don't usually stand up for the Nazis and the Aryan brothers and the.
But the Nazis were there.
Ku Klux Klan. Well, they were on, and it's well, not all of them were in the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know.
They were talking about the riots there. When the people were actually clashing, and there were good people on both sides. The thing with the tiki torches was the night before all that, and I'm sure that there were still some white supremacists in that crowd. Of course there were, but both sides brought weapons. It would have been maybe it would have been
people on both sides. Maybe.
Yeah. I think I was about to say. I think it would have been more fair to say there were bad people on both sides. That probably would have been a better statement. But they were all.
Yeah, true.
But there were definitely good people on both sides.
And then they were convicted in court of keeping black people out of his housing units. But I also reckon
that's actually from. That's because they didn't qualify to live there financially. They didn't have the income necessary to lease.
I need to
units
do
in his
some
apartment.
research on that. Yeah, I thought that he was. I need to research that one. But it seems like if you apply the right filter on this thing,
He also received a Diversity and Urban Development Award from Jesse Jackson in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. If
He
you
did
put the
say
right
that
filter
most-
on this thing, then you can kind of brush away him being racist on all of these. And if you put the right filter on him, you can kind of say all of them are proof.
Yeah, but you can't. I just feel like most of the times people are like, he's racist. It's like you take the filter of look at it the most simplistic way and assume whatever you already believed. Where they're like, he said that that Mexico only sends rapists and murderers here. It's like, no. He said
Right.
they send a lot. There's a reason that people leave from Mexico to come here. They're willing to risk illegal immigration, a lot of them, because they're already criminals in Mexico. And yeah, those people are more already intrinsically likely to take a risk and commit crimes because they committed a felony just by coming here. And so, yeah, rapists, murderers, people who are more apt to commit crimes are more apt to come here.
The last time we talked about this, we agreed that they were kind of go-getters who got up and left their country and came to America, that it was a self-selecting people of achievers.
Yeah, go get her.
Yeah, go get her. That's good. But a huge percentage of illegal immigrants here are criminal. Well, actually, 100% of illegal immigrants who come here are criminals because it's a felony. But lots of them commit crimes in Mexico and then come here. Is that an indictment on everyone? No, of course not. I still don't think that Mama and Papa, good wholesome Mexican. I don't think they should be coming over illegally anyway.
Right.
Like that doesn't make it cool
other
for you to just walk
statement,
in. If I really want to be a Swedish citizen, I have no fucking right to go into their country and be like, but I'm trying to contribute. I'm trying to make a name for myself. It doesn't matter. You don't have a right to immigrate to other countries. Like, countries have a right to have a sovereign border.
But his
I think that's
notion
kind of
that like Mexico or any shithole country are like selectively grabbing their worst people and sending their worst, which he's repeated again and again. That's not how immigration works. They're all self-selecting. These are people who desire to come here. The governments aren't offloading their people on us. And he paints it like they are all the time. And I don't know. Like I keep saying, in isolation, I can kind of try to excuse any of the dozen things that he's said or has been convicted in court of. But when you look at them all holistically, it's like, man, it's a pattern that's hard to look past.
I feel like there's a very vested interest in the media constructing a pattern where really there isn't one. How many people called Trump a racist before he ran as a Republican 3 years
I've heard
ago?
this before too.
Nobody.
Yeah,
and this isn't like a moot argument. It's a real argument. He was a
convicted in court of it.
mainstay. It's
the
a
Supreme
mainstay
Court
in
of New
Hollywood
York
for
did.
30 years. For 30 years, he's a mainstay in Hollywood. He receives awards for diversity. He was the first person to put a female in charge of building a skyscraper in not just in the U.S., in the world. He's done all these things. Promoted small companies on his, ridiculous show, The Apprentice, for so long. And there was never a problem with it until he ran as a Republican a few years ago. And suddenly it's a cavalcade, an avalanche of this shit. And it's like, it's so convenient. And the fact that it's come out now that Lisa Bloom was offering hundreds of thousands of dollars to women who would accuse him of sexual assault directly before the election. That literally happened. Another thing that doesn't help the Me Too movement. This
Oh yeah,
politicization.
she offered to pay the one lady's mortgage off, and
Multiple women. Yeah.
Did she pay any of his accusers?
A couple of them. Well, she made up that story about the 13-year-old right before the election.
Yeah, and she was
where
like,
they said,
she was going out and like
raped a
looking for these
13-year-old,
people.
and that girl, she's coming forward. Next week she's coming forward, and then
I
the election
remember
happened,
that.
and it was all made up. That's like, dude, to contrive sexual assaults and shit to push your political agenda, that is so fucked up.
When she was trying, the Bloom lady was trying to sort of coach the one lady into a story, and the lady was like, well, that's just not how it happened. And the lady stopped getting back to her, and Bloom was on record as saying, well, you got to stop wasting my time. It's like, what? Aren't you supposed to be representing victims? Like, no, because that's not what she was doing. She was trying to make a case against Trump. It wasn't about representing victims. It was about attacking Trump, it seemed like. I don't know.
I don't. Maybe it's the blue lens. I don't know. I'm having a hard time believing Trump is innocent of all this stuff, in large part because I've heard Trump talk about the things he does, like, bragging about how he goes backstage at the Miss Teen USA, bragging about how he grabs women by the pussy and what he gets away with, and a lot of the women came out and corroborated
but
this.
even the pussy grabbing thing, that wasn't him bragging about grabbing women's pussies. That was a guy bloviating, trying to impress another dude. saying,
I
"Oh,
feel
I'm
like you
such
got
a
to look at
fucking
this
winner."
really slanted to be like, oh, the things that Trump says he didn't mean. The things that people
I
say
feel
he
like you have
did,
to
he didn't do.
intentionally offload social understanding of conversations in a private setting in order to believe that that was a literal bragging of sexual assault. That was a guy bloviating. We know Trump. He's hyperbolic. He says ridiculous shit. And oh, I'm a winner. Women love me. They just let me grab by the pussy. I walk up and I just kiss them. Like when you're as famous as awesome as me, you can do whatever you want.
And
They
you really
love it.
think that's all made up? Like this thing with the porn star, I wonder about. Right?
I
Steve
think
Bannon
that
said that his attorney silenced like 100 women, which has to be hyperbole. But
Yeah, Steve Bannon
is
was
there
one of the
any
leakers,
truth?
so who knows? I don't know. I don't think Trump is good with women, and I think he says a bunch of stupid shit. But I think that it takes a lot of finagling to try and take what is clearly locker room talk. That's not just the news, verbiage. That's what it is. Talk to any guy who's played competitive sports in that environment, and they'll tell you that is not an extreme thing to hear. I've heard way worse than that, and women know that shit. Women talk about, they say just as dirty shit in private, and so it was just an annoying thing of the entire media pretending like, oh my God, we've never heard anything like this in our whole life, and acting like it was
That's
an actual
not true. And I've
admission.
heard you say that you like that's not what your locker rooms were like, and I said that's not what my locker rooms were like. It's
Definitely not. I don't think that it's that outrageous. I think it's in poor taste.
I've heard
obviously,
worse.
but I have heard
and
worse.
Kyle, I remember
but-
has been consistent on that.
Kyle always have.
I've heard worse.
Yeah, and it's totally possible. I got sucked up in it too when it first came out and was like, oh, and misunderstood it. And that's partially because you do get stuff from such a lens from the media. Like they kind of construct it before they present it to you. Like, oh, look at this evidence of this and that. And then you see it. And of course, it kind of tricks you in a way. Just like, and it's not just on the left that you see that. You'll see stuff on the right, which I'm so goddamn tired of what about the Clintons nonsense, where like, yeah, if they did do something illegal, start an investigation into it. Stop making every single point about, well, Trump, he wasn't like this on trade 2 years ago. He said he was going to do this. Well, the Clintons have never been like that on trade, frankly. We'll be back to Hannity in 20 minutes or whatever. Like I don't like that, but I don't know. I just don't buy that he's this big racist.
No?
For decades and
Here's
decades,
where I will
he
come
was
to
a
his
mainstay of
defense.
Hollywood.
They're giving him a hard time for not doing like some sort of act of service for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Apparently, every president since like 1985 or something like that has gone out and I don't know, like kissed a black person or babysat a black baby or whatever on Martin Luther King Day.
one.
Yeah, and they're like, and then Trump on the other hand just went golfing. He is a 72-year-old fat guy. What do you want him to do? Go to Habitat for Humanity? He can't do shit.
Yeah.
You're upset that he didn't do a photo op. I don't care that he didn't do a photo op. I don't care.
Yeah, I prefer when they don't do photo ops in a way because, like, when you would see like W or Obama or Clinton or whoever like at a food kitchen, like pretending like they've been there all day with their ladle and some soup. It's like if you are dumb enough to believe that he was there for longer, if you think that Obama or Ted Cruz or W or whoever were standing near that soup bucket for more than as long as it took to get that picture, you're an idiot.
The thing I always think about is the Secret Service team. If you think that soup kitchen ran better because Obama was there volunteering to work the ladle while his like Secret Service team was patting down every homeless person, that was not an efficient kitchen. People had a harder time getting food that night, I'm sure of it, for that photo op. And the fact that Trump didn't do it, I don't care. I don't go whatever. Go golfing. I don't give a shit anymore. Like it's fine.
Wasn't it like didn't they give Obama shit for like not going to a hurricane site or something like that? And it was like
W.
I remember one of them
over.
got given shit where it's like same thing of like, you really think that's going to make things more efficient? Like, no.
W explained that too with the same thing I just said with the Secret Service team. He's like, if I go down there and the Secret Service, cordons everything off, like it's not helping the situation. And I was like, okay, I accept that. I really, I don't measure them on their photo ops. Let's talk about their voting, their productivity, and not the photos. But yeah. Oh, and then I forget who it is. Durbin and someone else. They've been defending that Trump didn't say shithole countries. Like on every talk show, they've been going everywhere, and it turns out they thought he said shithouse countries. So they're going on TV like, I don't know, I didn't hear him say that. That wasn't that quote sounds wrong to me. I sat right next to him. I was as close as that other guy, and I didn't hear him say shithole. And all the time, what they're not saying is that they thought he said shit house. That's kind of disingenuous.
I would prefer shithole because that's everybody understands. Shit house isn't as common. I wouldn't know what that means.
But what I don't
You know?
like is that the senators were going on all the talk shows saying he didn't say it. Like,
Oh, I don't think politicians would
like
just
it was
go out there
fake
and lie
news,
like that.
right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a strong point. They're like, that's fake news. It's not true. You have an agenda. He didn't say shithole. That's the way they're
Yeah.
coming on.
I feel like there's so. See, this is why like I feel the need to defend Trump on like the racist bigot shit. Is there's so much valid shit to hit him for, so much valid criticism you can levy at that man as far as his flip flopping on trade, his total misunderstanding of what DACA is, which is baffling. He doesn't seem to know what it is at all based on his tweets.
He's not a details person.
The fact, like trade DACA, he's not a details guy. Big picture. That. The stupid, ridiculous tweeting and the way he carries himself is not presidential in a lot of ways. And so it's like you have this litany of things that you could hit him with that I think that you would get a lot of support on both sides for, but they hit him with stupid shit instead of, it's not that, this plan or whatever, it's not that he's using the same list of countries that Obama did when he limited immigration. It's not that. It's a Muslim ban, which makes him a racist.
Well, he
It's
said
like now
Muslim ban. He ran on that
and
campaign
see,
platform.
The Muslim ban thing, his verbiage of it, stupid. Attack him for that because it's not an actual Muslim ban. The overwhelming majority of Muslims are from nations that aren't included within that. One of the recent terrorist attacks was from a guy from Somalia. Somalia isn't on that list, I don't believe. I think we probably should add them. And so that's what I'm saying is that there's so much shit to hit him for, and instead they take the easy route of, he's a bigot, he's a racist, he's a sexist, this, that, and the other. And it's like that. It really just alienates more people than not because we've been hit with this "you're racist, bigot, sexist, homophobe" for so long that it's become less impactful.
It is a card
and
the left plays too much.
Yeah, reasonable people, and most, I think they alienate regular liberals out of that too. Like you don't. It's obvious you're not like that, And so when they play that card, it's the same way as when I see like some idiot on the alt-right doing like a white. We need this country to be white. It's not about family. It's about white people.
Or the Clinton
and it's
thing.
like,
or
the Clinton, or Pizzagate or something. You're like, Jesus, these fucking retards. And so, I don't know, it drives you further to the center in a way, which I guess might be a good thing. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah. Kyle, just jump in.
I wanted to talk about Wings' tweet last night. I guess Gangster Grandma has been hospitalized. She was coughing up blood. To quote him, I'm pretty good at. My light just died. Remembering what he says, he said that her blood saturation levels were low. Now, I think he means that
O2 saturation is probably.
O2 saturation is low because if she's saturated in blood, that's probably not good. But yeah, she's in the hospital, and I start scrolling through the tweet replies, to kind of see if, because I noticed that he's replying to people, and then I realized that it's a troll account who's replying to the people that is indistinguishable from Wings' actual Twitter. I gotta
Help me out
find
here. So Wings made the tweet though, right?
Correct.
But the replies are all the troll.
The replies are all the troll, and you cannot tell the difference. Let me try to find some of these replies. Let's see.
That's terrible.
He tweeted today, just to let you guys know, I have 2 accounts pretending to be me saying negative things toward people. If you see me screaming at you or being negative, please check the follower account. He doesn't say it's not me.
I know.
He says check the follower account because it might not be me. All right, so here's his tweet, and here's some of the replies from the trolls. And I swear to God, they use the same profile picture, and seemingly they have the same user ID. It's WarGodICP, which I thought was him, but he's WarGodICP. I don't know this must be some sort of a thing that people can do now. Let's see. This guy says, I hope everything goes well for Gangster Grandma. I'm praying for y'all. Really nice reply, right? Troll says, your prayers mean nothing to me. If you really care about my grandmother's health, you'll donate to my stream for her medical experience.
Jesus Christ.
Someone goes, I hope she's all right, boss. He replies, could you give me a small pity donation?
This guy's a good troll.
I know you don't believe in God, but I believe in him. And prayer, so I'm praying for you, man. Well wishes to Grandma and yourself. The guy's name was Zeke. The troll says, Zeke, I don't need your bullshit religion talk right now. You know what's actually proven to be real? Donations.
That's terrible. I feel bad about the gangster grandma thing.
I'm sending my thoughts. Much love, dude. How about you send donations instead? Your thoughts aren't going to pay for her medical expenses.
Wait, was
I'm
he, like,
sensing a
linking
theme.
his own
No.
donation thing? Like, was the troll trying to make money on this?
No. He's just trolling. Like this isn't like he's just trolling. Again, this guy goes, my prayers go to your family. Peace, brother. I don't need your prayers. I need donations to pay for medical expenses. Donate or unfollow.
Donate or unfollow.
Here's the best one. This guy, who's his name is Kenny, but his Twitter ID is @EatMyWhopper. He says, sad to hear. Hope she gets better. Wings replies, Kenny, your name makes me hungry. Don't follow my Twitter. And then, John, look here. Look, listen. I'm completely dependent on my grandmother. I need her to wipe my ass and buy me Dr. Pepper and Skittles when my blood pressure gets too low. That was a
Blood
little
sugar,
mean.
it should have been.
Didn't I say blood sugar?
You said pressure.
Wow.
Oh, I
It
thought
was
you
blood-
read it the way it was written.
No, it was blood sugar. I just misread it.
Oh.
Maybe not as funny because of that. But yeah, very funny. I'm
That
so
is
sorry.
very funny. How is Wings responding to the troll other than saying, before if you notice a really mean comment,
It might
double
not
check.
be me.
It may not be me. Yeah.
It could be any of us.
Yeah, it could be any of multiple. I like to believe that it's multiple personality disorder, and he's actually logging into these troll accounts and just being real with people.
That's a shame about his gangster grandma, though. Like, you knew that it wasn't forever from now, right? Do you guys have any grandmothers? I know Taylor's grandparents are still around. He talks about them and meets them. Kyle,
Yeah,
do you
I've got-
grandparents? None?
No granny parents over here.
You don't have any grandparents left? They're all dead?
Yeah, my granny ma parent, she died. She died. One of my granny ma parents, she died like 8 or 10 years ago. I think she had cancer, and then the other one died of cancer like 6 years ago or something like that. So yeah, and then my great grandmother, she died also like in that same sort of period of time. So all of both my granny ma parents and my great granny ma parents.
What about your granny pa parents?
They were both extreme alcoholics and died of alcohol-related illnesses. One at the age of 35. The other died in Dallas in 1994 or so, also of alcohol-related illness.
Both of your grandpas were alcoholics?
Abusive alcoholics.
One of my
Oh,
grandparents was
That's
that.
a twofer.
My father's father was like that.
Yeah, he slapped my grandmother was forevermore deaf in one ear because he had slapped her in the side of the head one time.
When
Jesus
I was
Christ.
a little kid,
Hard slap.
there was a hole in the wall of my parents' house. You know how like drywall? No, you don't. It was plaster. So it was plaster on the wall, and then there's lattice behind it. If you don't know what that is, it's lots of thin boards, and there was a hole in it like that big. And I'm like, what is that all about? And they're like, that's when your grandfather threw your aunt through the wall. Lucky for her, she hit between the joists and it
Studs,
didn't hurt.
Can we leave it as
the
a
studs, you're
reminder?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To not fuck with grandpa.
But he ran away when my father was 10, I think. And I think I've talked about this, but I asked him, I was like, how did you feel? Like when your dad ran away? Like suddenly you have no dad? Like wasn't that what do you think? He's like, well, I thought that was one less thing to worry about. I had one less problem in my life.
Yeah.
He was glad
That's
he was
really
gone.
sad.
Yeah.
That's the relationship you have with your dad. Yeah, I have one granny ma. No, I have two granny mas who are left alive. And then I have one granny pa who's still alive. And then a step granny pa on my one side. But he's raised. It wasn't until I was like 7 that I understood the concept of like a step grandpa, because he was just always my grandpa. And then they had to be like, you're not actually his grandkid. That's just your grandma's wife. And I was like, that can't be true. But he's always been grandpa. And it's like, you never wondered why you
He
had one
is
grandpa? And then,
Honduran.
yeah, he is.
I had the same thing on my mother's side, except they always told me he wasn't really your grandfather.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like, so what do I call him? And to be younger, he said, call me Uncle. And I always did. So I always, Uncle Shirley is it guy.
I called mine Papa. Yes.
So how old were you when yours died, Kyle?
The one that I liked died about 7 years ago.
Only one of them? Is that one of the alcoholic?
That was my well, the granny papas. They
Jesus
died
Christ. Is
long
that a great
before.
granny pa? Is that a
It's
granny?
confusing me.
Nah, the grandpa papas. They died. Grandpa papa parents.
No,
They
this
died.
is the
I never met them.
pa crap is all Georgia. I didn't
Papa
say
parents.
that.
So I never knew my grandfathers because one of them obviously died when he himself was only 35 years old, and the other had fled to Dallas and died in obscurity. We found out on the internet when I was in 1994 or something like that, and we were like, oh well.
You were young enough that it didn't mean anything.
Yeah,
to
my
you,
mom
like, you
didn't care either. Yeah, it was clear. But my grandmothers, I only really cared about one of them. The other one was kind of shitty. And my dad's mother, she didn't really like her very much. My mom's mother was great, very nice lady. I spent weekends with her as a child, almost every single weekend, so that my parents would not murder me. And I was very close to her and her husband, who I call Papa. Yes.
Well,
My
there you go.
father's father, our alcoholic abuser, lived a long time for an alcoholic. When my grandmother was 65 or so, or 68, she checked in to see if he died. Because if he had, they were still married, on paper. And she's like, I might have a Social Security check coming to me as a widow. And she looked him up and they're like, darn, still alive. No,
Shit.
reach out to him or I wonder what he's got going on now. Just, shucks, no check. And that's where that wrapped up.
And now we play the waiting game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you still drinking? Gave it up. Isn't that a shame? Do you ever miss it? Do you miss it a lot? Do you ever think man, life's rough, estranged
I'm
family,
having
and
a-
you just think, I want a pint from a gas station?
Think of that
Yeah.
warm sensation of comfort when you take a swig of Southern Comfort. What would you feel
Yeah.
about that?
I'm having a cold one right now. It's so refreshing. Just takes the edge right off.
Did you
Yeah,
guys
nice.
watch the Only
Yeah.
Use Me Blade break sobriety video?
No, that sounds great.
Was sober. And
Does he break it or does he destroy it?
The video doesn't go on
Totally
long enough,
owns
but
it.
here's how it goes down. He's live streaming. He's been sober for 10 days, which he refers to as 2 weeks. And he's like, well, I haven't had a drink for 2 weeks. I think I can have a little drink. Maybe, you guys donation. I'll have a drink to celebrate. Nobody donates. And he's like, yeah, he calls it, I think, a responsibility drink. He's like, we're just going to drink responsibly, a responsibility check, make sure that I can handle this and everything is good. We're going to have a drink here, donation. No donation. Pours himself a double, not a shot. It's like a double. Downs it.
Yeah.
And no one's donating. and he's just started drinking again on camera. That was it. And it was
He had to play it the other way, right? Where it was like, I'm going to take a drink unless we get some donations going. And then it's like, coming up, and it's like,
He
oh,
just
for every
keeps adding more
$10,
to the glass.
a full second pour down the sink of this handle of vodka. That'd be a good way to do it.
Everyone's heard the outrageous stories of what people do when they're drunk from AA, right? I haven't been to AA, but we've all been exposed to a story oh my God, I woke up blackout drunk with no underwear on or whatever. I don't know what happened. And that was my low. I was in a gutter. I had peed myself or whatever. That was my low. Blade's got some low stories, doesn't he?
I don't know.
He can go to AA. Well,
I've
how
never
about the
watched
time
the stream.
he got drunk and stuck his finger up his own anus for
I don't think he
donations?
penetrated, though. It looked like he was in the crack.
I saw it differently. I may need to rewatch.
I've watched it in slow motion. I've many times. I don't think he penetrated himself. I think he just got it in the crack real good.
Well, it's
although
not a
that
good
was an
look.
embarrassing moment, I wouldn't say that's a real big low or anything.
What? That's a live
Yeah.
stream. People talk about it
he's
for
an entertainer.
years.
Yeah, dude, did you watch Ice's live stream the other night? He was sober. Shaved his beard, put on a dress and a wig, went to Sephora, told her that he's like, I need whatever makeup would make me look like a woman. I got a date with a man, and he doesn't know that I'm a man, and we got to fool him. And she's like, okay. And so like goes back to his house and puts on makeup. He's like, then some random guy from, I don't know, let's say Denmark, some bald white guy who's a bit overweight comes in with like Norwegian beers or some shit, gives him one, and they kiss. They kiss a little. He was
But
just a
it's not
random
gay, it's
fan.
just for the memes.
It's not for the memes. he had just shown up for to like meet Ice, and he's like, yeah, give me a kiss. He's like, dude, you think I'm hot? You think I'm hot, dude? He's like, you do not look like no, you look like man. And so like Ice has a makeup girl from Twitter come over and start doing his makeup. She's very cute. And then at one point he leaves the stream to the guy from, I'm saying Denmark, but I'm just guessing. It's some European country. He has a strange accent. He's very white. And when he comes back, the stream has convinced this man to strip down to nothing but his underwear. And he's like dancing for them in his underwear. And he's like, what, dude, what happened here? He's like, they told me to strip.
I don't know why Ice gets as much fussing as he does. This sounds like an amazing stream.
Oh, it was
and by the
awesome.
way, less embarrassing than Blade stuff. I feel like Blade's out of control a little bit, whereas Ice is putting on a show.
He's walking the street in a dress with makeup on, asking dudes if they'll fuck him. I'm just saying
Well,
that to me is more
I mean, that's-
humiliating.
And I
That's
like
clearly a
Blade.
show.
I feel like I'm taking digs at him. I'm sorry, Taylor. I just want to get that
No,
out
go
there. I don't mean to rip on him. I'm just saying that what he's doing, he's not in control of himself right now, whereas Ice was.
Well, is like Ice was going around, gallivanting in a dress like for the show. He was doing his finger in his ass for a show, I assume, right? Or was it not like that? I don't need to see that.
It was a small donation. Do you have the link,
Okay.
Taylor?
No, I don't have it. No, but that's okay. Well, yeah, I wish him the best if that's, because that stinks, especially if people weren't even donating. You'd think like parlay the drinking thing into more donations.
That's what he normally does.
Threaten to get drunk if they don't donate.
He does the
know?
opposite. He takes a shot if they pay him. Like Filthy did that for a while. I don't know if he still does. But he'd do a drinking thing, and he'd ratchet it up so he didn't have to drink too much. Like, I'll take a drink for $5. Next drink at 10. Next drink at 20. Next drink at 40, 80, or whatever. Before long, people have to come up with like $120 to make him take the fifth. My math is probably wrong, but work with it. And
just do the inverse of that. Do it to keep you from drinking, if that's what Blades fans want to do.
yeah.
I don't
And
know.
Alright.
by the way,
Just-
Ice does not have a face that could easily pass as a woman.
No, not even close. Not even.
I mean, look at the size of the dude's nose.
Dude, skip to 14 minutes and 10 seconds. That's the perfect time if you just want to taste. 14:10.
I'm waiting on my browser.
What the fuck is happening?
That's the random fan who showed up from Europe.
He's still got patches of facial
So
hair.
this is what
Yeah,
I
he
wanted to do
shaved on
today.
stream,
I wanted
but
to
he was
go
like,
out and try
"I'm
to pick
not
up
good at
dudes
shaving."
dressed as a woman and see
I
how
only
much of a
watched a little bit
Can't
of the
wait for that
video. I
fucking
stopped after the shaving
suck your
part,
dick, dog,
but I've
tonight.
never seen somebody shave so badly. Where he took the razor,
don't
with
do
his
that.
facial hair totally dry, just haphazardly slapped some, Barbasol or whatever on there, and then starts going up and down without lifting the razor up, just going like this,
Yeah,
like
This
just on his
man-
skin. And it's like,
he's like
have
me,
you ever
he does
seen
not-
somebody shave on TV? Like, that's not the way you do it. He needs some
You ever
running
seen a
water.
commercial for Gillette?
Ice is going above and beyond. This is a top-notch IRL stream here.
Go to 10:35 if you want another little taste. I thought this was another highlight of the show because this makeup girl that he had come over, very attractive. She's right up your alley, Woody. She's very slender.
She's outstanding. I'd have to check her happy trail. But otherwise,
And
she
now
looks
the dude in
good.
the back has no shirt on.
Yeah, and he's posing, and he doesn't lift. I mean,
Flexing.
Yeah, he's not even skinny
Yeah,
fat.
she
He's
is really
kind of
pretty.
fat.
Yeah, very pretty. And she had a really good personality and a good sense of humor about all of this. Right? Like she came into this scenario and did well with it. Like she doesn't seem awkward to be on camera. She doesn't seem like worried about anything.
that counts
like,
for a lot. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
a trooper, you know.
yeah. Excellent stream from Ice. I really, really enjoyed that. I watched that whole video on demand there. the other night. Chiz linked me to it, and I was like, yes.
If we had
This-
Ice again, do you think he'd be great again, or it would do you use his material?
I think we've got new material. He's done stuff, you know. We could talk. He's done stuff. He's done stuff like this since, and I thought we could, you know, wait a little bit longer until he does like 3 more things like this, and you got a couple hours of material. Like he had the hooker. He's dressed up as a woman and walk the streets of L.A. Initially, he was going to pick up a guy off Tinder. That was the idea, that they were going to make a Tinder profile of him as a woman and try to pick up men. But of course, that didn't happen. But Jesus.
What is this guy doing in the background? I don't know if you're probably.
That guy was great. That guy,
Yeah.
like that guy showing up so randomly, like I don't know. It was random. It was bizarre.
Copyright mute.
He's like, "Why are they calling me a pedo?" He's like, "Ah, they're just trolling. They're just trolling." I am not a pedo.
Ice is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have him back on. I want to get Ice back on, Anthony Cumia, and Dick Masterson. Those are 3 that I'd like to get back that I think we've had. It's been more than enough time, obviously, for Anthony and Dick.
And filthy.
I think that the guy everyone's really asking for is Ben Gravy. You know,
Oh shit! Yes,
we
we
want-
haven't
we want
had him on in a
background
coon's
guy.
age.
in a fortnight.
We want Ben Gravy's background friend.
Oh, I feel
Dig
bad. I'm sorry, Kyle. I talked over you. Yeah. So Ben, everyone knows this. I watched 100 hours of his content. He's got a vibe. He's funny. He's fighting the law and MTV stuff. And he had a lot of stuff that seemed like it could be the basis of great stories, like his friend with the chick kicking the balls on America's Got Talent and this and that, and like it just all seemed like there was so much circumstantial evidence there that he was going to be fantastic, and then he was found not guilty of being fantastic.
Like the way you
Win
put
some,
that.
lose some. That's the way she goes.
It's the way she
Yeah.
goes, Bub. You know who I'd like to have? I'm going to be honest. I'd like to get about half an hour of Wings of Redemption.
Yeah, or more.
No.
Why?
just want
Why so
No.
quick?
Taste.
Why
wanna
just
taste.
a taste?
Because he's very rich and fatty. And, too much of him, you'll get
It's
a
like
stomach.
90% cacao.
Yeah,
You know,
it's-
like
it's-
you can only
don't
have a
make a
little bite of
meal
that
out of-
chocolate. Yeah.
you don't make a meal out of cheesecake. Okay, he is marshmallow fluff on top of cheesecake with chocolate sauce on top. That's a dessert. You bring him in last half hour of the show, and you've just had a delicious meal.
I'm not saying you're wrong because you're making a strong argument, but I have a suspicion Wings of Redemption is a little bit like a fishing net, and you have to cast him out there
With whale in it.
and see what she brings in. If you just have him for a half an hour, there is wackiness that might not happen that would have if he was on longer. He might sit there quietly like a bad guest for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then 35 minutes in, he just says like, what, something outrageous I can't even think of, prostitutes are not people or whatever. And we'll have to explore that philosophy.
Hey, pussy ain't real pussy. What?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember when he
know.
said that, like, some women have bigger labia than others? Kyle's not a fan of the big labia. Wings of Redemption was convinced that labia size was directly correlated to how many sexual partners she had.
Oh my God.
That-
Like
did he
shit like
really-
that, man.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
You
I don't
gotta have
remember
him on the
that.
show to get that come out,
I don't remember that, but that's hilarious. Like you never know what kind of like old wives' tales that we've never even heard of. He's
Old wives'
incorporated
Yeah.
into his like psyche as fact. Like
That a labia was a woman's like Pinocchio nose counter of sexual partners. and every time she fucked another guy, it grew a little bit more.
you can't wear shorts. It's hanging out on either side. Yeah,
I'd like to
it
have
would have
him
been.
on.
I would like to get him on talk chicken sex. He would be a wonderful asset for that topic.
He would outshine Taylor, I'm sure.
Yeah,
What an
Chiz is gonna watch
interesting-
this. Chiz is watching this right now. He watches like right after we upload it. Like he is literally the first person to watch PKN when it goes up. He's already typed me a message like, "What is this bullshit? Why did you get this started?"
He does not want
No.
this happening.
He hates him so much. I mean,
Yeah,
we
he
all.
does.
Chiz is very good at not forgiving. That's one of his core competencies. At
He's like
Woodycraft,
foreign.
I had to lean on him for that because people would like
I forgave.
rip on my
and he never
children,
forgot.
right? Or like abuse my staff. And 6 months later, it'd be like, oh, isn't all water under the bridge? And he'd be like, no, we are still mad at him. This is the list of things that guy did. And I was like, yeah, all right.
That's how you run a business. Hold grudges. Don't let paying customers back into the fold.
Ah.
Demand recompense.
I'm
This
with
is-
Chiz on this one.
Yeah.
I'm with, no, if you're a fool, you will get fooled. And if there's a mistake I made in business too many times, it's trusting people, and I get burned. And Chiz would be my asbestos sometimes.
You're asbestos. Mm-hmm. That, not a great reference now, because it means eventually he's going to give you cancer.
Yeah. Okay,
Right?
strong point. I see where you're coming from, but he kept me from being burned. Is what I was going for. I don't know what he
Yeah.
could be. My leather gloves.
Leather gloves. My
Yeah.
smock.
This is Chiz.
Oh, hold on. Let's.
Oh, yeah. We don't have to sync up. You can just go ahead.
And he never forgave. And he never forgot.
Yeah. But I would have him on for a little while, I guess. But, he probably either wouldn't come on or he'd want to get, like, paid some exorbitant sum of money. Like remember when we were doing paintball and, like, there was an incredibly small budget for that first paintball trip, especially. Like really what we did was we took the money they were going to pay me, and I was like, hey, I don't need the extra money here. Let's use that to fly in YouTubers and pay for their hotels. That's literally what we did. We just took all of my pay. I didn't make anything, and we just used it for flights and hotels for everybody. And Wings was like, oh, well, I want this much. I want like $5,000 for me. And I'm not going to be playing any paintball. We'll do a little meet and greet type thing where they can come to me in the air conditioned room that you guys keep speaking so highly of. And I'll be in there. And also these cheeseburgers that you keep talking about, this Paul gentleman, I would like some of those from him. And Kitty was like, you're not going. And that was that.
Yeah, he was like, the biggest thing was he wouldn't play paintball, right? Like part of the thing was to promote paintball, and he's like, I will not be doing that. Now, I wonder, I don't know, like at Wings of 2011 or something, whatever that was, how mobile was he? He could walk and do things. Like, he's not going to be like rolling cartwheels, baseball sliding into cover, but it's not like Boogie, who at his biggest, like, sat down to pee because it just, it didn't want to stand up that long.
I'm going to say that version of Wings, while he couldn't have like kept pace with us, because I barely kept pace with us, he totally could have like went out there, played a little paintball, and like taken some breaks. 20 minutes out, an hour break, 20 minutes out, an hour break, and that would have been fine, right? Like if he just got out there, it'd been fun to see him in all the gear because we'd have found a jersey that was his size.
Think
and
about that.
they make it like you've seen paintball players. While it is an action sport, not all people who play it are athletes. There are many large people who play it, and Kitty. I guarantee Kitty would have gotten him like a custom jersey made, with a big cow on it. It would have been
biggest
fun.
paintballer is much bigger than the biggest paramotor pilot.
It's
more restrictive.
Right. It's I mean it's
That was
just
always
the laws
the
of
interesting
physics.
thing at those paintball events is like you'd look and you'd see a guy who was just frankly enormous to where they're shooting and like the tank is like resting on its upper belly. I say it because they've left the realm of humanity. Like and so they just got that big thing sitting there on their gunt and like shooting, and it's like you've got $3,000 worth of equipment right now. You've got more pods than anyone could possibly shoot. You've got an extra
like
you've got
92
an
pods.
extra air tank. You've got a super small very aerodynamic looking mask, which looks hilarious because one of your 5 chins is sticking out beneath it like a frog about to
It
bellow.
makes their head look so
looking for a
tiny.
mate.
when
It
they
makes
do
their head
that.
look tiny, like a little praying mantis head, and they sit there, they shoot, and it's like, how much better you'd be at paintball if you just ate a little less and sold half of those pods and the nice gun. Like that kid right there with the Tippmann 98 is going to be more useful than you because you're going to be sitting in the back like a mortar, just firing in the air, pop, 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 and that kid's going to be able to run around and do shit. Like I just,
You know where I thought
that
you were
always
going?
drove-
If he had devoted some of that like $5,000 equipment budget to a trainer,
Oh yeah.
that too.
he might
Yeah.
he
Or-
might live a different life.
Save even more money by not purchasing as much food, or just like go for a walk. Like don't save all of your physical activity for your biannual paintball trips. Sir. Like maybe go for a jog aside from that, because like I don't know, if you're into that enough to spend that much money, why not at least lose a little weight so you can run around and be faster? You'll have more fun with it.
Well, I think I would definitely have wings on again, I guess, but I wouldn't want them for a whole show. I'm a big fan of like short-term guests on the show because I feel like we are more apt to like get into them and start pulling stuff out. Whereas when we know we got them for 4 hours, it's easy to forget they're there, and I don't like interacting with some of these people. They're adults. What are you
Who
doing
likes
here?
them?
Shouldn't you be in bed? Like, come on.
I think we should do more short-term guests. One of the issues I have, I know it's time to wrap. Sometimes I feel impolite. Like, a guest is going to come on, depending on how he works out, for between 60 minutes and 90.
Yeah.
45 minutes in, I'm like, fuck. Yeah.
Anytime you feel like a guest needs the boot, you just send old Kyle a text message because I got no problem just
I
being
can
like,
do
all
that.
right, Ben, it's been a real pleasure. Why don't you tell everyone where they can go and watch you surf and shit? All right,
I
good
should have
deal.
done that.
Good night. Woody, hang up on him.
I
even give
still
him a-
like Ben. I like his content. I think
Yeah.
if I was 20 years younger, we'd be friends.
Oh, yeah.
But as a guest, I like
I like Kyle's
okay.
unmitigated honesty about it.
Here's
About guests right afterward.
yeah, the Kat Gunn, for example, she didn't turn out to be our best guest, but she was there trying. She was on the show the whole time. People
And
just
it was
didn't
fun
like
to mock her.
Yeah.
You know?
She wasn't getting up and leaving and shit.
Yeah,
She was
and hey,
participating.
and even though she didn't hunt for her food, she was entertaining a little bit. It was fun mocking that she had spent like $50,000 on an art remote control racetrack. Like
2 years later, I flew my paramotor over what I think is a remote control car racetrack. And I was like, check that thing out. Shout out to Kat Gunn. The comments were filled with it. They all remember that legendary racetrack moment in Painkiller already.
Yeah,
like
very funny.
Ben, it's not that I think he's not entertaining. It's that I think he didn't try, and that hurts me more. He left a lot.
Yeah, I think that his strong belief in cosmic karma was really preventing him from getting on into the hate for the Nigerians. We had a Kenyan in our we just mentioned this and then we cut this thing. We had a Kenyan in our hangout, our patron hangout, and not only did he give us a pass for 8 N-bombs whenever
I forgot about
whenever we
that.
want to use them. All right, I'm saving it. I got a card. It just says the
A bunch of
N-word
hole
on
punch.
it.
Yeah.
It just says the N-word on it, and it's got fried chicken all around the rim, and you punch a chicken wing out every time you
That's your
you say
watermelon
it.
rewards card. Yeah.
Yeah. But he said that we could say the N-bomb whenever we wanted. I don't think he's not an African American though, so it doesn't count. I won't be doing that unless I
Well,
want.
He is
counts
an
as about as I
African
could
American.
He's
He's an American from Africa. Well, I mean, how much more qualified can he get?
He's
But
literally
he's not-
African American.
okay. He's literally, but not figuratively, and that's what counts. But
Wait,
he
he
was
was
saying
Black.
he was
We're talking about the same
agreeing.
guy?
Yeah, I absolutely am. It doesn't matter. The funny thing I thought was that he agreed about the shithole country things, about how Kenya is a shithole country, and we had a good time talking to him. He was like, my father. He doesn't sound like this. My father is an electrical engineer, and one of us was like, or as they call it in my country, a wizard.
He was the most powerful warlock in the entire tribe.
That guy was great. He got into med
Yeah.
school. His story was, I made a deal with myself that I wouldn't pay the $50 to go to a PKA hangout unless I got accepted into med school. And I'm like, say it. Like, say it. Is it true? And he had just gotten into med school, which is pretty
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah,
See, we need
very
more
cool.
immigrants like that.
From Kenya?
wizards and warlocks. Yeah. Or just people who are qualified to doctors, like that's it's useful. That's what you want.
Yeah. His father, presumably, was one of those extremely qualified electrical engineering warlocks who immigrated here, and that's a great thing for us as a country.
Apparently, he's good breeding stock because he made a doctor.
Yeah, yeah. The Kenyans are missing him now. They're over there. God knows what they're
In the
doing.
dark.
Yeah.
With no electrical engineers. All right, that was Painkiller Nearly, episode 178.